Few joys in life compare to the feeling that I get when I see a beaver. Whether in a news article, or an Instagram reel, or in real life, which has yet to happen, but I do anxiously await the day. I love them. Now, I started admiring beavers in about November of last year, which is also when two notable things happened in my life. One, I discovered Balatro, which is an amazing roguelike game, and two, the final project for my game development class got announced. Perhaps you can infer what my mission soon became. I needed to make a beaver roguelike game. But what is a beaver roguelike game? Well, the whole idea of a roguelike is permadeath-based runs. So you'll do a run for like 30 minutes, and it's kind of just about making it as far as you can. But then once you die, you're done. But there's also elements of randomization present, whether through the items or the map, so no two runs are ever the exact same. These games are usually kind of intense, like it generally revolves around combat. Certainly nothing that's comparable to the life of the humble beaver. Beavers chew wood, and they build dams, and that's kind of it. So that's what the roguelike is going to be about. Picture this. You are a beaver, and you are building your dam. And every day you have to leave your dam in order to get materials to fulfill a quota. Wood, stone, mud, all sorts of stuff. But you only have until nightfall to do it. So you're balancing carrying your resources with optimizing your route to be as fast as possible. And if you fail to meet the quota at the end of a day, your dam floods and you lose. But at the end of every day, you can also go inside and then upgrade yourself, hence making it more of a roguelike. And now you have a beaver roguelike game. That was the vision. But first I had to convince 3 other people in my game development class to agree to this idea. Somehow it happened and I got a little team. It was me, Micah, Ray, and Ari. You may recognize the name Ari from the hit 2026 office simulation game The Simpler Times, as well as the award-winning, world-renowned Mr. Strange Places, which we recently did together for the Brackies Game Jam. Then there's Micah, who would go on to make all the music for the game and help program, and Ray, who was in charge of all of the game's art. With this killer team and all of our roles, we were ready to get started. But first, a little word from today's sponsor, CyberGhost VPN. CyberGhost VPN is trusted by over 38 million users worldwide, which is about how many camels exist on Earth. The difference? Well, camels are mostly in one region, but CyberGhost keeps you secure in over 100 countries. The truth is that when you're online, you're not as private as you think. Your internet provider, your public Wi-Fi, or even your home network can track your activity. And that's where CyberGhost comes in. It encrypts your connection and hides your IP address so your data stays private. And thanks to its strict no-logs policy, not even CyberGhost can see what you're doing. It also has an excellent rating on Trustpilot, which is why so many people trust it. And it's also not just about security. You can also change your virtual location and unlock content from over 40 streaming platforms, like from Netflix or Prime Video, that might not be available in your home country. It works on all major devices, and with one subscription, you can protect up to 7 devices at the same time. Right now, you can get CyberGhost for 84% off plus 4 months free with a 45-day money-back guarantee. So if you want to stay protected and unlock more content, then visit the link in the description or the pinned comment. Thank you so much, CyberGhost VPN, for sponsoring. Now, the first step of making a beaver roguelike game is making a beaver, aka making a movable square that will eventually be a beaver. The next thing I did was get started on a basic day and night system while Ari worked on some of the gathering mechanics. I've never made a game that uses a day and night cycle, so I was a little bit worried about how hard this would be, but then I realized how stupid it is because all you have to do in a 2D game to make it nighttime is just put a black rectangle over the scene and then slowly dim it. We then needed some sort of in-game calendar to actually progress through the days, kind of like Stardew Valley, or any game with a calendar now that I think about this. We wanted to have 4 seasons in our game of about 7 days each, and then each season would bring its own hazards and materials to the world. This calendar wasn't that hard to intertwine with the day and night system that I had done, since basically whenever the clock reset, I could just increase the day by 1, and then that would push forward my really ugly calendar. But as I was doing all that, Ari was working on the real gameplay. We decided that we wanted QuickTime events for gathering each resource and that each material would have a different one. Mining a rock to get stones means clicking at the right time on this bar, and cutting a tree means hitting the green blocks on the vertical bar at the right spots. This is really hard to explain. I know what they look like, I just don't know how to explain it, but that's also why I'm showing you. I'm a good YouTuber. By this point in development, we kind of had a lot. We had our QuickTime events for gathering materials. You could pick up and drop things on the ground. You could store materials to make them persist into the next day. Or you could submit them towards the quota, which we had working and updated on a little sign, even though it was hideous, but that was okay. There was a ticking clock from yours truly. Heck, I even made the full upgrade system, which let you pick between a few modifiers every night. I got to use a dictionary when I made that, which has got to be one of the top 3 structures in programming programming. If you've done any coding before, this is not going to be new information to you. But dictionaries are awesome because they let you store a bunch of different types of information in one place. I can store the name of an upgrade, a description of what it does, what stat on the beaver the upgrade needs to change, and the value of how much to change that stat. And I can grab any one piece of that information whenever I need. But after that upgrade system, a lot of the main components in this game were pretty much done. And yet the game still felt so far from a playable state, because most noticeably, it didn't look great. Having good art early on in a prototype is not really that important, but if you looked at all this without any context, where do I even begin with what's happening? You gotta understand, the artist on our team, Ray, kinda went multiple weeks without having any art to show, despite our continuous attempts to inspire him. The main menu of our game was literally just this for weeks, and if it weren't for us continuously sending each other beaver hype edits whenever they came across our Instagram feeds, it would be hard to remember that we were making a game about beavers.
Maybe it's my fault. Maybe I led you to believe it was easy when it wasn't. Maybe I made you think my highlights started at the free throw line and not in the gym. Maybe I made you think that every shot I took was a game winner.
And for me especially, that was devastating. I love coding, sometimes, but it was my love of beavers that had driven me to this project in the first place. They were the reason for the season, the inspiration behind this entire game, the thing that kept me going when nothing else could. But then, the fateful day arrived and Ray just delivered every piece of art that the game needed, and it was perfect. A great looking tile set for outside, a bunch of different trees and all their materials, a fully animated beaver as well, UI assets so the calendar could finally look like a calendar instead of whatever I had. Absolute enigma of an artistic process, but this is exactly what we needed. Making our player into an actual beaver immediately revitalized any motivation that we had lost in this project, because it's just adorable watching the little guy wiggle back and forth, or use his power tools to mine rocks and even chop down trees. Because how funny is it if a beaver is using a tool to chop down a tree instead of his teeth? We are breaking stereotypes with this one. Our beaver also has a little basket on his back so he can carry multiple materials at once. You do get heavier the more that you carry, and it also depends on what materials you have in your basket. The idea is that you'll be traversing the map quite a lot with these materials in order to fulfill the quota and build your dam. But currently the map was just a bunch of empty space, so we needed to fix that. We took to a whiteboard to draw the layout of the world. Good luck seeing it past the blaring reflections in this video, but we basically decided that your dam would be at the top of the map, right next to the quota and your storage, and then there'd be a big river winding down the world that you could swim in to move faster. It was so rewarding and fun getting to build this out in Godot and actually use the art that Ray had given us. We put mud and sand along the water and made sure that rarer materials or certain types of trees would spawn farther away from the dam in order to keep things difficult. Every material in this game is actually randomly generated, but it still spawns in like a set region. So there is a region for each rarity of tree, but you're also never going to play 2 runs where all the trees are in the same spots. That, plus the whole upgrade thing, definitely makes this game feel more roguelike. It's also a little more fun because you're not just responsible for gathering wood, but also planting trees. Every tree has a chance of dropping a sapling that'll take a few in-game days to grow, depending on the type of tree. So you have to also manage replenishing your materials just as much as you are gathering them. And that creates an incentive to grab the rare trees or the rare materials and plant them closer to your dam to be more efficient. And at the end of every day, once you had fulfilled your little quota of items, you would enter your dam, the cutest little room ever. You mosey over to your bed where you're able to choose an upgrade, you figure out which one you want to pick, you sleep and watch as the day changes and the light filters through the window, and then you get up and you set out for the next day. The game was looking really good, a lot better than it had previously. We had all the mechanics in place, the world existed, everything was great. And as you might recall, this was our final project for my game development class. So there was a deadline and we were rapidly approaching it. But that was okay. Yeah, there were some bugs, like every single asset rapidly flashing on screen every time you change scenes for some reason, but those were just quick and easy fixes, right? Incorrect. The night before this project was due, we sat in a Discord call for 9 hours fixing bugs and adding things we didn't even realize were necessary until the last minute. One of those things was an actual tutorial, because there's kind of a lot to this game. There's little keys that'll pop up and prompt you to do various actions, since we realized it wasn't really the most intuitive. We also needed a main menu, as incredible as this was, which Ray made some awesome art for. We got this really cool logo. That turned out really nicely. We also added Micah's sound effects and his music, which certainly upped the intensity of this game quite a bit.
Why is it so weirdly intense?
I know, the music really gets it going.
I'm scared.
We added a game over screen for when you lose, and I added a million more upgrades because I realized that the player would pretty quickly run out. It turns out that building a game to scale and to be played at length requires a little bit more than just making the mechanic exist. One thing that I didn't really think about as we worked on this project was how insane our file organization would become. I've done large projects before, but having 3 other people pulling from a repo and updating it and moving things around and all working on the same code base was a completely new process for me, especially when the first step of adding a feature becomes reading the code of a bunch of other people to understand what they did first. But I ended up learning so much from just seeing the code and the organization of Micah and Ari and how they chose to configure things. But anyway, here we were, in this seemingly endless Discord call, chipping away at the final elements of this game. And luckily, we were able to get it all done the morning of the due date. But a very important question still remained. And it was, is this game actually any fun? We kind of realized that as fun as the mechanics were on their own, we never really tested the full game. We never really played through it. It took us so long to get to a base prototype that by the time we got there, we didn't really have any time to playtest it. The whole time that we were making this project, my amazing group was just kind of trusting me and kind of just trusting my passion and my belief that a Beaver roguelike will make for a fun game. Thankfully, it turned out to be the right decision. On the last day of class, we got to present our Beaver roguelike game, which we titled Damn, by the way. And everyone who played it thought that it was really fun. Or maybe they were just telling us that, but I do genuinely think it turned out really stinking good. It was a bummer that we didn't have the time to add seasons like we wanted to, and there's not really a concrete end to the game other than just making it as far as you can. But I was so happy because my dream, my stupid little Beaver roguelike idea, had turned into something I was genuinely proud of, and it existed, and it was somewhat done. If you would like to play Damn, you can do so on my itch account below. I'll also link all the websites of my group mates since we are all college students soon entering the job market. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe if you want to, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye! Don't forget you can still get 4 months free of CyberGhost VPN plus a 45-day money-back guarantee by using my link in the description. You can join one of 38 million users worldwide by using that link or scanning the QR code.